Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us this morning. It's a beautiful, lovely morning. Winter has arrived, I think, just in time for Christmas, so it's perfect. Really, really happy to have you here. I'm Tom Kunkel, and I want to welcome you to the CEO Breakfast and Strategy Series for 2016 and 17. St. Norbert College, along with our sponsors, are so pleased that you could join us this morning. For 19 years now, hard to believe, the CEO Series has been providing area executives like you with the opportunity to hear from some of our top area CEOs. This resource is being brought to you through the generosity of our presenting sponsor, WPS Health Insurance Arise Health Plan. Our title sponsors are Wifley, Insight Publications, Johnson Bank, Johnson Insurance, and the sponsor of today's session, Investors Community Bank. Please take the folders at your place with you and take a little time to review the information inside. We'd appreciate it. At this time, it's a real pleasure for me to invite my friend and colleague, Father Roland DePoe, chaplain of St. Norbert College Alumni Board and institution at St. Norbert College, to come and offer grace. Father Roland.
Thank you, Tom. Almighty Father, pardon me, you have called us to live a life of fidelity, commitment, and dedication to the highest ideals. We live not only for ourselves, but for a wider, broader community of our fellow human beings as we journey through life together. We are privileged to have been chosen to use our talents and special gifts for the communities we live in and serve, and also for the global community far beyond our shores. The Lord, as an example for us, said, "I have come to serve, not to be served." It is in imitation of him that we serve one another. Help us to remember that earthly prestige or advantage is no guarantee of truth or right. Actually, they may work to the contrary. Give us the vision to work for the benefit of all, especially in these times when we stand or fall together. Lord, we ask you to bless those gathered here this morning who have recognized and responded to the call to the highest levels of service. Bless their efforts abundantly, and bless all of us and the food we share through your goodness. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you for your message, Father. Enjoy your breakfast. We'll be back in about 20 minutes with our program. Good morning again. I hope you enjoyed your breakfast and maybe still enjoying it, so carry on with your coffee, but otherwise zip it, because we're going to move on with our program. Right, Dee? I just do what Dee tells me. So, well, it's a real pleasure for me to introduce this morning's CEO speaker, Pamela Henson, who is the regional president of Gannett Wisconsin Media. Pam is a 30-year media executive with an emphasis on major metro newspapers throughout the United States. In fact, we were just chatting. Many of you know before I got religion and moved into higher ed, I was a journalist for a long time, and so, as is always the case, we already found a number of people in common. So I'm especially delighted that she could be with us today. As the regional president for Gannett, Pam oversees all 10 Gannett newspapers in the state, including serving as the publisher of the Post-Crescent right here. Pamela previously held leadership roles in print and digital advertising and marketing at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and the Baltimore Sun. She's a native of California and majored in journalism at the University of Southern California, which, among other things, gave us Clay Matthews.
Yes, we're going to talk about him today.
Personally, thank you for that. She plays an active role in the community and has served on a number of boards throughout her career, including locally the United Way of the Fox Cities, Make-A-Wish Wisconsin, and the Trout Museum. She and her husband, Dave, have 3 children. Please join me in welcoming Pamela Henson.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Is this working? Thrilled to be here today. And what I'd like to do in the next 25 minutes is accomplish 3 things with you. Number 1, bring you up to date on some significant structural changes and business changes over the last 2 years at Gannett Wisconsin, part of the USA Today network. Second thing is to share with you the new and innovative approach that we have taken in Wisconsin, and just how we are marrying very collaboratively the news side with the business side. I think I was just sharing with the group at our table, we're one of the most interesting businesses because we are highly the lighthouse and the beacon of civic responsibility on our news floor, but then right below it is the business floor that has to keep the business running. As we were saying, there's no newspapers that are nonprofits or intentionally nonprofits. So I'm going to share how we've been making that work very creatively. And then finally, and most importantly, I know that there is a huge buzz across the United States, the world, that newspaper is dying, it's eroding, it's gone. I want you to leave here today that you know that in Wisconsin, that is a very false story completely. And just to give you some quick numbers on that, everyone is definitely moving to digital, and we are as well. We're accelerating. We are going into that age. We have incredible news and business resources focused on digital and our future. However, in the current day, 70% of our business is still print, the ink and paper print and inserts on Sunday. 30% is digital. Now we see that trajectory changing, but with 70% of your business, we are doing things in Wisconsin that is not only encouraging the print business to stay alive and thriving, but offering creative platforms that I'm going to share with you today. Okay? A little bit about Gannett. Those of you that know USA Today, yes? We are now USA Today Network. Gannett has over 109 local newspapers. We are across 34 states. You probably heard most recently that we were looking to acquire the Tribune Company, AKA Trunk. That deal fell apart. However, stay posted. We believe that that's going to be resurrected sometime in 2017. In addition to that, we have over 100 million unique visitors on our websites. So you can see that USA Today Network is the largest local national media market that we have out there. Now bring that home to us here. As you heard, we oversee 10 newspapers here. So we go as far as Green Bay, Appleton, Central Wisconsin, Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan. And what we did over the last 2 years was we used to run very separately as 10 very separate newspapers. We had 10 different publishers at one time, 10 different editors, and we actually, if you can believe this, we actually were competing with one another. We were competing on the business side, we were trying to scoop one another on the news side. We started collaborating a little bit with the newsroom about 3 to 4 years ago, but 2 years ago what we decided to do was to change the structure completely and put together a regional network. And when we do that, as you can see, we become the power of 10, which means we now have over 200,000 in circulation, and it's a 7-day footprint across that entire north and central Wisconsin area, okay? What that also meant was that we now were considered within Gannett. When you look at all of the 10 newspapers combined in circulation and revenue, we are considered a Tier A market within Gannett. What that means is the mass that we cover with our 10 newspapers is in the same arena as Phoenix, as Cincinnati, and Indy Star. So a whole different approach in how we are going to market. That also makes us the 4th largest newspaper in Gannett, and very much we pride ourselves on becoming part of the solution with this power of 10. So what changed in terms of how we came together? We went from having, again, 10 separate, that over 2 years ago we integrated together by, I created a vice president of news role that now strategically was overseeing all 10 newsrooms and having them work collaboratively together. On the business side, I brought in, from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I brought in a gentleman, Tom Valerian, who we named VP of Advertising and Sales. He now oversees all 10 sales strategy across our 10 market footprint. And then the critical role, and I actually asked him to come today because this is really a lot about the success of what this individual has done, is we created a director of business statewide and business development. And that is Jim Fitzhenry. And if Jim Fitzhenry could take a bow over there. What his role, and we are the only newspaper in Gannett that has tried this approach, is Jim literally has 1 foot in the business side and 1 foot in the news side. And I'm going to show you examples of how we married the opportunity in the community and with news gathering, and we're able to also tie in the business side. Currently, we just had our Vice President of News, because of the great work he's been doing the last 2 years, Joel Christopher, literally was just recruited away from us last week by our sister paper in Louisville. He is now the executive editor in Louisville, and Jim Fitzhenry is our VP of News interim as we begin the search, but we like to think we're going to stay pretty local. So what is this that we're doing in terms of coming together with solutions? What we call it on the business side is marketing the heart. What we say on the news side is, instead of just reporting, we're now choosing to become part of the solution to what we report on. And I'm going to give you a few examples of that. So speaking of my fellow alumni, Clay Matthews, we started a program. This was one of our first 2 years ago. Hopefully those of you that read the Post-Crescent remember the story of a little boy named Beckett, that his wish was, his birthday was in November. He wanted cards to come in the mail. He reached out to one of our reporters, his mom, and said, would you put a little blurb in the paper? My son is very, very ill, and that would mean the world to him if other strangers could just drop a card in the mail. So we put an article in the paper, but we also put it online, and then we also put birthday cards that we said, come on down to our paper and we'll even mail them for you. Just sign a card to Beckett. Well, guess what happened, especially with the internet? It went viral. He was getting birthday cards from Michelle Obama and Rosie O'Donnell and many, many more. But more importantly, what we saw was we saw the story of Beckett, and we said, what can we do to bring more awareness of children? He was a Make-A-Wish child and also was going frequently to Children's Hospital. And what could we do to take his story to help him financially? His medical bills were just outrageous. So we put together what we called Catch a Star. The program consisted of Beckett designing a holiday card, and then we paired him up that year with Jonathan Lucroy, who used to be with the Brewers and was a catcher. And we got 2 underwriters, Children's Hospital and Pick and Save Grocery, and we sold the cards and had all the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish, Children's Hospital, and to Beckett's family. It was so successful that year 2 we did it again with little Maggie, that you can see up here, and James Jones. And this year we just announced with Clay Matthews and Angel. And I'm going to show you a brief video in a minute. There's Clay with Angel. One of the things that was unique here too is that we found out that Clay Matthews' charity of choice is Cure Duchenne, and Angel was a Make-A-Wish child that was going through Duchenne's disease. It's a terminal muscular degenerative disease that most young men don't live past 23 or 24. So an unbelievable story that Clay Matthews came together with us on.
At first, when I got there at Children's, he was doing through therapy, so I thought it was just simple procedure of therapy and he was gonna get better. But when we find out it wasn't, how Duchenne affected him, it was just hard. And knowing right now at this stage that he's falling and he's depending more on his wheelchair, and we're really concerned about even the way he sleeps.
How you doing?
Great.
Good to see you again. You missed me that much you had to see me again? Pretty much, yeah. How you been?
Great.
You've been great, That's good to hear. Who's got bigger muscles, everyone? Yeah. You? Yeah. Let's go. You might have me beat right there. You got some big old muscles.
I got involved because I heard of this guy's story right here, and as a spokesperson for Cure Duchenne, it was only fitting that I get involved with this and help raise some money, not only for Make-A-Wish, but Children's Hospital, as well as Cure Duchenne. And overall, it's no-brainer. So like I had mentioned, anytime with our platform we can give back and do something nice along the way, then we're all for it, and it especially hits home.
Ever since kindergarten, he was going, "Go Packers, go Packers." And once we got a call and said if there was some opportunity for him to meet again Clay Matthew, we told him. He was really excited. He's like, "Yay, we're gonna go to the Packers."
All right, so now I need you to write your name, give us your autograph on there so we can put it on the card, all right? It's just an incredible opportunity to give back, and anytime I can spend some time with guys like Angel over here, it means the world to me, and hopefully it means something to him as well. Please buy our cards at your local Pick and Save or Kopp's stores and make a difference in the fight against Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Children's Hospital, and Make-A-Wish.
And here is this year's card, and please go to your nearest Pick and Save and buy one of the cards. It's benefiting all proceeds with Make-A-Wish and Children's Hospital and Cure Duchenne. So that kind of gives you a little bit of flavor of the template. And what I'll quickly do now is I want to show you 7 other programs that we did in that same mold. And that was taking the newsroom, that was pure news coverage, where we had a reporter and a videographer go out and have the story. We had a front page news story. And then what we had was the association with Pick and Save as an underwriter. So there was no collaboration of, oh, well, we're going to write good things about Pick and Save. It was complete underwriting of the project. And now we're stuck. So while he is fixing our little tech problem here, I wanted to show you another initiative that we just recently did. How many of you saw the pink paper that came out on National Mammogram Day? This is very near and dear to my heart. If you saw, I didn't want to be in it, but I am a breast cancer survivor and said I will do anything for the platform. We came up with this idea that we ran it on National Mammogram Day, and again, part of the give back was that we took the proceeds of all of our single copy newspaper and it went to ABCD after breast cancer diagnosis. Really important thing, we featured 8 women, and the reason we did 8 is because 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime. And so we took 8 poignant stories and brought them to life over 8 days after we launched this on National Mammogram Day. So again, kind of another way of our opportunity to use the platform of media to do good work in the community. And are we? Almost. The next one, I'll start talking and then we'll have the video as well, that's critically important is we were in a meeting with some community leaders, and this was probably the 2nd or 3rd month that I was here. And what I asked is I said, please tell me, where are we missing the boat on our content side? What are opportunities that would really make us a stronger partner in the community? And the president of United Way pounded his fist on the table and said, we have a horrible, horrible challenge here with teen suicide and mental health and the lack of resourcing and the lack of awareness of what a critical issue it is. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, did you know that in our state, teen suicide is 30% higher than other states? So I went, this was one of the first projects with Jim Fitzhenry in his new role. I sat down with Jim, I said, I just heard this, can you dig into this? Jim started doing research and found out that yes, it's a horrible problem in how under-resourced we are, both in the school systems, in the mental health areas. And so what we did was we created Kids in Crisis. This series ran over 10 weeks, and we also had 10 town halls in each of our markets where we had medical experts, academians, we had parents of kids that had committed suicide or tried to commit suicide, and we rallied around it with solution-based journalism. What we wanted to make sure, and I have one more video, and this one I think will be easier.
Our son, Jonathan, took his own life 343 days ago.
USA Today Network Wisconsin's series on teen suicide started with one brave family's story. The Kids in Crisis project grew into a movement, with families and experts around the state joining our call to better support struggling youth.
In honor of my daughter Morgan, I will continue to help in any way that I can because it's what she would want me to do.
Our series has involved 44 stories, but it is not confined to the pages of the newspaper. We held 10 town hall meetings throughout the state with more than 800 people who brought more than 200 questions. We proposed 5 solutions to teen suicide and made one pledge for change, which we took to the state capitol in a call to action event. Our series was recognized by Pointer for its engaging approach. But what really makes us proud is that the work is valued by our communities and the people who shared their stories with us.
We'd like to thank USA Today, along with Jim, Rory, and Liz, for taking this series of Kids in Crisis to the next level. Now let's start saving our children.
So again, the model of solution-based journalism. We outlined the 5 solutions. We have been aggressively pursuing those solutions and are starting in January, year 2 of Kids in Crisis, because we know it's not going away and we're going to still stay strongly behind it. The benefit that we had there, again, we can't do these kind of efforts with the resources that we have. So Bellin Health underwrote the entire series and had content adjacency because they are a huge mental health provider for teens. Some more of the creative, as you could see. Organ donation, we found out that, again, Wisconsin, a stat we're not very happy with is we have one of the lowest organ donation registrations of any state. Froedtert Healthcare had come to us and said, this is a story, we would underwrite this if we could just get more people being willing to sign up with their driver's license. We found out that Randall Cobb is a really, really big organ donation supporter. He's been registered with his driver's license since the age of 15. He agreed to be our brand ambassador. We then followed the stories of many that were on the wait list for organ donation and those that had already gone through organ donation. And that, again, ended up with having a significant increase, over 22% in organ donation because of the program. Again, solution-based, how do we get that number up? This was an opportunity where we wanted to really be a significant part of one of the Old Glory flights in honoring our freedom. We got Packers player John Kuhn because we wanted attention to it, and it's interesting, anytime you put a Packer associated with anything, they get a lot more attention, and that's why we choose to do this, is we want people to read it and engage. We also sent a videographer on the flight and created a documentary that we had all of the vets who went on the flight got to see it in a private screening. And then we aired it for anyone else who wanted to come in after they saw it in the premiere. And then finally, this is a really important subject, I'm sure to many in the room, especially me with 3 kids going through college. We did some incredible research around the problem that's national but really hitting home as well, and that's that kids are graduating from college with these huge burdens of debt because of loans and finances and so forth. So what we embarked on is we literally took one of our reporters who had graduated here locally, and it was laden with debt, and we had her as the spokesperson going across campuses, talking to other reporters, talking to other high schoolers to give them the warnings of what not to do and what to do. We held 4 town hall meetings very similarly where we brought in advocates of this is how you can do better financing, this is how you can not graduate with as much debt, and different ways of if you are graduating with debt, what do you do now? So again, very solution-based journalism where we wanted to be in the community and saying this is how we can help our students that are graduating with this degree of debt. This one, again, we went to an underwriter, and what better underwriter than the National Guard? As you know, if you have service in National Guard, you get a huge resource in college tuition. And then finally, this one is very, sorry, I have a cold, and I'm it's making me have a dry mouth. Thank you. The last one is very near and dear to my heart. We were talking with several of our healthcare providers about cancer and how it's on the completely accelerated end of touching so many of us. So we thought, let's really, really raise awareness of 2 foundations that were raising money for cancer research, and that was the Anthony Rizzo. I think you guys might know Anthony Rizzo this year, Cubs superstar MVP, and also Jonathan LaCroix with the Brewers. And what we did was we teamed these 2 up. They each represented cancer foundations for research, and we had them say, cancer knows no borders, so we're going to compete on who can raise the most money for cancer in their individual states. I hate to tell you, we got beat by the Cubs, I think because of the year, but they did raise a little bit more than us, but collectively we raised over $50,000 going toward cancer research with this program. Here is the press conference when we announced the partnership. Again, solution-based, where we are engaging readers in ways that we allow them to give back to the community. Then in that, we took, to take it a step further, once we showed Anthony and Jonathan, we got a cancer survivor that was from Chicago and a cancer survivor that was from Wisconsin, or this area. And we had them meet and be introduced to one another and did a video of their stories. And so very interesting that, you know, cancer knows no borders, that somebody in Illinois going through something similar with someone in Wisconsin. So a compelling way of engaging the community. Finally, another thing that we are doing in our second year is for all of the high school communities. We really wanted to engage and celebrate our athletes across our 10 markets. So last year we had the first inaugural sports awards. This is, in essence, it's if you go to it this year, hopefully you will, it's like the ESPYs of high school sports. It was just incredible. We had kids from all over. And we had Cal Ripken as our spokesperson that came up and was the keynote speaker. And guess what? This year we have Clay Matthews. He is going to be our keynote speaker this year. And this was the Power of Pink campaign that I shared with you. The 8 different women and the full pages for each of their stories. And finally, the last thing I wanted to leave on in terms of what we're doing currently is we have just finished our annual Stock the Shelves campaign. Are you familiar with Stock the Shelves? We've been doing this for many, many years. Collectively, we've raised over $4 million. All donations, every single piece of it, going back into the communities, either through Feeding America or local pantries. We are giving a special added benefit that if you or any of your organizations would still like to have any contributions, and we do match them with several community partners, leave me your business card and we'll have someone contact you, and you can still give to Stock the Shelves. The thing that's been incredible again this year, again, we find that utilizing the Packers, and we have a great relationship there. This story especially I want to end on. Randall Cobb, because he was doing so many different programs with us, we called him up and we said, look, this is just a complete fundraiser. There's absolutely no partners in it other than all the dollars going back in the community. Would you be willing to just maybe give a tweet out for people to donate? And he said, no, I'm not willing to do that, but I am willing to be the brand ambassador, and I'll do commercials for it all for free, which is unheard of when athletes do that. He's now in his 3rd year of doing this, and just the greatest guy you can ever imagine. And our donations have gone up dramatically just because of the brand awareness of Packers. And we also were able to get a $50,000 Packers donation this year and a $50,000 from Gannett Foundation. So wanted to kind of leave you hopefully a little bit inspired and encouraged about what's happening in the newspaper industry, particularly in Wisconsin. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions?
Yes.
Do you have any feel about how many are reading online versus hard copy newspapers overall?
Overall, it's different than Wisconsin. So I can give you nationally, it's substantially higher. I'll give you a figure. In San Francisco, I was at the Chronicle right before I came here. Is that? Something scratching. Newspaper penetration in San Francisco is at 18%, so about 70% of the market is going online to get all their news. Here, we are the #1 highest newspaper penetrated, print and ink, people reading the actual paper. We're at 61%. I'd say about 25% are getting from our websites are getting their online content. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing in Wisconsin that we still love our daily newspaper. I believe, I don't have statistics on this, but I believe it's because all of you are so civic-minded and community-minded, and that is why the newspaper has stayed such a vibrant, engaged part of the day-to-day life. Yes?
Do your circulation figures reflect the new focus that you're putting on the emphasis on reporting?
The circulation overall continues to have declines in print. However, our print declines in circulation are the lowest in Gannett right now. Similarly, on the business side, the business numbers roughly of the newspaper industry. They're usually about -8 to -10 this year, and we are flat to last year. So that tells you the difference in how we're performing. Circulation, we're at about a 2% decline, where other markets are 10 and 15%. Yes?
I have several questions. They're all related, but I want to pose them and then see what you have to say about it. So when you rely on underwriters to cover the cost of, or provide funds for the newspaper for your community projects, how do you prevent that underwriter from influencing what you're going to write? And also, for example, are they allowed to read the articles before they go to press? Do you instruct your editors to take care not to say anything negative about the underwriter? Just wondering about conflict of interest. And that whole question.
Yeah.
Can they be critical if they find that that underwriter is not doing the right thing?
Absolutely. In fact, the conversation, and I always make sure that I am having the conversation with usually the chief marketing officer or the CEO of the companies that underwrite with us. We say up front, all you're going to have is content adjacency. So the equivalent would be if you had a Packers section and somebody had Packers merchandise, and so they want to run next to it because it's associated content, right? You'd never see in the news, oh, go to Kohl's to get your Packer merchandise. Very similar here. We keep it completely separate. There is no conversations ever with my VP of advertising to Jim Fitzhenry as VP of business development, ever on, oh gosh, can you get this, can you do that? The secondary thing that we do is we actually have to tell them up front, look, if you're going to give access, I'll give you the example of when Randall Cobb did organ donation, the newsroom wanted to follow him as he went on a tour talking to organ donation patients. And we sat down with the Freighter team and said, look, this is all access. So if you have a doctor that's having a bad day, it's going to be on. This is not going to be edited or filtered. Luckily, it was a good clean day, but they know that anything is going to happen. Similarly, so when we did the town halls for kids in crisis, we had experts from Aurora, we had experts from Bellin, we had experts from Prevea. We had it all mixed up. When we looked for sources in any of these, we always have at least 5 to 10 competitive sources, many of them that aren't even doing any business with us. So we have kept it, and if Jim wants to even jump in and say anything, but we've kept it very, very strong, that line of influence between underwriter and non.
And how do you choose the opportunities? Obviously, in any geography, there's plenty of needs. How do you choose the opportunities that you want to wrap solutions around?
Yeah, very good question. There's two, it comes both ways organically, if that makes sense. The most common organic growth of these ideas starts with the newsroom having an idea of something that they think the readers would want to read. So where would there be high reader engagement? And then, like in the case of Kids in Crisis, then they'll go to the business side and say, is there anybody that you think could want to be an underwriter of a series on teen suicide? So that's the organic growth of the newsroom, creating an idea and then taking it to the business side saying, who would be interested in this? Same thing with with Degrees of Debt. We went, we did talk to different colleges. They were kind of nervous about it, went to National Guard, they loved it. The other way is if, in the case of Freighter with the organ donation, Freighter reached out to us and said, we need your help. We have this huge challenge that we are not getting the community at large to donate for organ donation. As you can imagine, if you sign up to donate organs, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to go to Freighter. So it was a very engaging topic when we took it to the newsroom because organ donation impacts all of our healthcare providers and it really dramatically impacts all of our lives. So that's the other way it comes up. If we then, the business side will then go to the newsroom and say, organ donation, do you think there's anything there? They do the research. In this case, this was one of Jim's really special projects and Jim came back and said, oh my gosh, the stories are unbelievable. And then again, you'd see an organ donation. We cited Aurora, we cited Freighter, Children's Hospital, Bellin, Prevea, all of them had story emphasis coming from them. And I'm like,
Maybe one more?
I have another question. That is, as newspapers everywhere have reduced their staffs drastically, especially in local newspapers, while this program that you're doing is just really a creative and wonderful way to impact your communities positively, what about the watchdog journalism that we used to have? We used to have so many people covering every local meeting and uncovering scandals and finding out what's really going on. And I think a lot of people are concerned that we don't have that anymore, that it's just the big nationals that are doing the more investigative journalism. How are you trying to be the watchdog?
Sure. Well, definitely, I would tell you that when we regionalized and we put everything together, so we now have a regionalized Packer team, we have regionalized education team, we now also have a regionalized investigative team. And so that group is about how large, Jim?
3 members.
3 members of the investigative team. And I would definitely tell you, we can cite the Avery case, the shooting at the bicycle store. All of that was very, very strong in the local investigative focus. I will tell you what we do now with a company called Chartbeat, which gives us digital reads on engagement of our stories online. We look at that and see what are readers going to. And you'd be surprised, but not very many are going to local meetings and the local chamber meetings and what the outcomes were. There's those of us in the room that are we care about it. But we are trying to balance on where we're seeing the reader engagement go. Just like we thought everybody was always reading the editorial pages. We've significantly pulled back on how frequently we do editorial pages because we found a very small piece of the market actually cares about the editorial pages. We don't endorse candidates anymore. We will at hyper-local races, but not on national, because we were finding it was causing conflict that wasn't necessarily engaging readers. Does that answer your question?
Please join me in thanking Pamela. Thank you for your presentation. We really appreciate it, Pamela. A lot of us are in industries that are being disrupted, and you are definitely in one, but it's fascinating to watch what's happening here in Wisconsin with media. If you would like a DVD of Pamela's presentation, please see Amy Sorensen. Amy's in the back there with her hand up. She can take care of you. Before we break, a quick commercial. We have mentioned to you that St. Norbert College, in collaboration with our good friend Dr. Tom Wilsius, whom most of you know, we're about to launch an exciting venture called the Center for Exceptional Leadership that is going to be engaged in developing high-level and mid-level or emerging business leaders. I'm delighted to say that we actually were able to announce the launch of the center at the New North Summit this week. And Tom's here. And Tom, you want to take a moment and just tell folks what this is and also how they can learn more about it?
I think one of the ways that I can mention what we're trying to do is just ask all of you here, is how many of you aspire to be a poor leader? Okay.
And I've achieved it.
Okay. Well, and we all know it when we see it or we feel it, right? But most of us, when we're on track in our careers, we aspire, whether we're going to be an influential leader or an operational leader, to be as effective as we can be. Yet we recognized in some research that we did with the New North that there wasn't really an adequate resource available for small and mid-cap companies in our region to be able to deal with true leadership development. So we began a journey a number of years ago to look at what the parameters were for creating good leadership, looked at all of the research and the best practices, and 2 years ago we began a process of pulling executives together throughout the region that really had a passion about leadership into a design configuration, and we've spent the last 2 years designing what we feel is going to be the best resource available for leadership development for area businesses, regardless of size, to be found in the country. And I think we've accomplished that. We've had the privilege of hiring somebody to be able to lead the second phase of that, putting meat on the bones for that, and that's Angela Marshallek. Angela, we just put your hand up and say, I would encourage any of you to get to meet this wonderful person. She is a dynamo. She's got great energy. She's done leadership development programs in the public and the private sector. And we were delighted to find her right here in our own backyard when we did a national search for that particular position. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you on this today. I could talk hours about it. But what I am going to do is, as you leave that particular door, there are brochures that are fresh off the press that we first had Tuesday for the New North Summit that describe the Center for Exceptional Leadership. I'd invite you to learn a little bit more about it. It's a fairly comprehensive brochure, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call us. Our contact information is in the back of the brochure, and we'll be happy to respond. But it's going to be a resource. It is a resource for all of us as organizational leaders to be able to use to help develop the talent we have. 2 tracks, emerging leaders and senior leaders. I'm pleased to tell you that as of our announcement Tuesday, we have about a 75% subscription rate for the first half of the year already for our services and how we're going to deliver them. But we do have a few openings remaining, and we look forward to being able to help any organization that's interested in enhancing their leaders.
Thank you very much, Tom. We at St. Norbert College are thrilled to be a partner with this. This is happening within the Schneider School of Business and Economics at St. Norbert College, and we are really excited about the opportunity. So absolutely, please come pick up some information, get to know Angie. She can tell you more about how to get involved. I'm going to let you know also that our next CEO breakfast is going to be, the speaker is going to be Steve Schneider, who's the president and CEO of Hilbert Communications and its subsidiaries. He's going to speak on the subject of from buildings to towers, how unplanned partnerships can succeed. If you know Steve, you know you'll be in for a treat. If you don't, you're going to be in for a treat. So hope you can join us. That's January 18th, after the holidays. You'll be on your diets, as will I, back at the main place at St. Norbert College. So hope to see you there. Have a wonderful, safe Christmas with your family and friends. Thank you for your support of the CEO series, and we'll see you in about a month. Have a great day.